Hello, everybody. Que paso, as we say in the deep south, if you know what I'm saying, the deep south. Que paso. What's going on out there? What's going on in your neck of the woods, everybody? Thanks for jumping on board here. Have you seen my video yet on Leanna Wen? Pretty funny, actually. Do a lot of stuff on that because Leanna Wen has been a bad girl, been a bad girl for many years, and many people suffered because of that for sure. All right, so I appreciate jumping on board again. If you're on the chat and you're on either Facebook or the Josh Scanlon YouTube page. The chat mainly will be on the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube page. FYI, you can stay on all three. I get that sweet ad revenue. I don't make anything on Facebook. I know some guys. I don't actually know how Facebook works, to be honest with you. I just know I get more views on Facebook than I did on Rumble. I get more views on Facebook than I did on any other place, even though I don't even do anything on Facebook other than these live streams. But anyway, if you're on the YouTube, the Josh Scanlon, like we got right now, 7 people on the Josh Scanlon YouTube channel and 11 on the main Heritage Wealth Planning one. You can by all means stay on both. That will generate revenue for me from the Josh Scanlon one. I don't really make very much money off that. Probably, 15, 20 bucks a month there. But all right, so we got lots to go into today. I can't wait to go over this stuff because I've been working. I'm up against Razor Fist is on right now. Damn, I love Razor Fist. Yeah, but he's just doing and I'm very familiar with Alex Stein, but Razor Fist, he's just doing this stuff on video games and stuff, right? Is he doing one of his metal music ones? Because I love those things. I love his metal music. He did Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, a lot of old classic, not speed metal bands, but more than just Iron Maiden, like Exciter. I don't think he ever did one on Exciter, but that kind of band. Metal, but not like one step above Iron Maiden, but not thrash metal or speed metal. Exciter comes to mind. Drawn a couple other like Metal Church. I don't think he ever did one on Metal Church. I loved all that stuff, man. Yeah, did he do one on? I'm watching a show on Netflix called Dark right now. It's funny. It's in German. It's actually interesting, man, and I enjoyed immensely. But anyway, the one of the kids listens to Creator. And if any of you guys are familiar with thrash metal, speed metal from back in the day, in the 80s, Creator was a band from Germany, which is pretty brutal, pretty good band, actually. That kind of stuff never got into it too much, the European speed metal. But now the European kind of like what they call desert stoner doom metal, I freaking love. 1,000 Mods, Red Scalp out of Greece, and just Sweden. Sweden always had that black metal. I never liked black metal, like Venom. Oh, black metal sucked. Oh, I never liked Motorhead, never liked Venom, and I know Motorhead isn't from Sweden. I get all that. And Motorhead isn't black metal, but never understood the appeal of that black metal from Sweden and Motorhead. Did nothing for me at all. Oh boy, I just got an angry. Why are you angry, Diane? Diane's very angry at me on Facebook. Why are you angry at me on Facebook, Diane? We got Kansas in the house, Iowa in the house, Tejas in the house. Right on. All right. Probably on Russia, Europe for Razor Fist. All right, gotcha. If you go on Alex Stein, ask Alex Stein, Pulverizer, if we went to the moon. Well, I think you and I are a lot of same agreements here, which is kind of funny because Pulverizer has been around for a long time on this channel, and I've more come to him than he's come to me. If he's come to me at all, it's kind of funny. All right. Love Motorhead, Venom back. Oh, look, I just Venom. I mean, look, I had a couple of their albums, their LPs. They just, I don't know, didn't do much for me. Merciful Fate, believe it, yes, I did have some Merciful Fate albums. Yes. And King Diamond, I'd never gotten to him when he went off on his own, but I did have some Merciful Fate. That's a fact. But if anyone, a lot of people are like, who the hell are you guys talking about? Merciful Fate was a it's just a good band. I don't know what to tell you. But if anyone tells me there's not some kind of subliminal music doesn't have some effect on your emotions, they're freaking crazy. Absolutely. 100%. And people are like, why do music? This is almost why I think the old Christianity, Muslims ban music. Is because it can influence you, man. I don't care what anybody says. Music can influence you 100%. And I'm just telling you, man. Just look, you can listen to some Matthew West. There's a song that he sang. I forgot what the top of my head, but man, it'll freaking make you. It'll put like shit. It'll make you shiver because it's such a. At least for me, it's such a song that touches your soul. So if a song can touch your soul in a positive way, why couldn't a song touch your soul in a negative way? Well, inherently it can. It can. Inherently it can. You see what I'm saying? And so I just sit there and you got to watch what you're listening to. I mean, look, I'm the biggest. I just love metal, love music, all sorts of metal, man. You know what I'm saying? And I know the kind of music that's not good for my soul, and I still like it. And it's hard for me not to listen to it. But I know when I listen to that, it puts me. It's a strike against the positivity that I literally truly believe God wants from me. You know what I'm saying? It's a challenge, dude. And I'm not gonna lie to you. When I'm going for a walk or something like that, I need that quick boost. Matthew West isn't going to do it. Not going to do it. Now, Jake Hamilton, I like him. There's some rockish Christian stuff, which I enjoy, but most Christian music, just I want to jump off a bridge and land head first on concrete because it's really, really boring. Really, really boring. Matthew West has a lot of good stuff. That guy, Chris Tomlin, never did anything for me. Was that the guy who ran over his daughter? I think it was. Heaven forbid. I think it was Chris. No, maybe no, it wasn't Chris Tomlin. It's the other guy. I'm seeing him right now with his blonde hair. Yeah, Guten Morgan. Oh, good morning. Hey, right on, Angie. Donkey Shorts. Donkey Shorts. UFO Michael Schenker version. I don't know what that is. Music soothes the savage. Well, it can soothe the savage beast, but music can soothe the savage beast. It also make the savage beast savage, right? All right, so I want to share with you. Hey, Mike's in the house. We got Michael Kirk. We got Cabulus is here. Boss Tweed's here. Right on. All right, cool. Appreciate y'all being here. Angie's here from California, IA. Thinking about going to where's Angie think about going to? Texas. Annette, we talked about that. All right, cool. So let me. I want to because man, I've been working. Let me just show you what my desk looks like. It's a freaking nightmare of crap. And then you got that guy right there. So yeah, that's what Stephen Curtis Chapman. Right on, Judy. And then we got this guy right here, right there. All right, so you can see the mess that is my office. And that's right. Yeah, that guy. He ran over his daughter. Ugh, I say a quick prayer. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we just pray for all those who are just, when accidents happen. We just pray for anyone who's going through a hard time right now, regardless of the cause. Anyone who's going through a hard time, be it self-inflicted, be them the victims, or just accidental. But just, Lord, please guide them in their time of trial. I just can't imagine what it's like to lose a loved one. It's going to happen. And I just pray when it happens, Lord, I turn to you. Please send your Holy Spirit to assure these people that all is not lost, that eternity awaits. No matter what they're feeling now, eternity awaits. We pray in Jesus' name, amen. Just on a side note with that, when again, as Chloe, when her first month of her life, she was born, and she had to spend the time at the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit at the University of Virginia, because she had ventricular tachycardia. Anyway, she wasn't a preemie or anything like that, but it was freaking scary, dudes. You know what I'm saying? Because you could see in the eyes of the staff there, they had no clue what to do, because she wasn't a preemie, she wasn't a crack baby, she was a big girl. And she had ventricular tachycardia, which no children have, no infants have. So you get to see it in their eyes. That's the doctors and everything. In fact, one day I met a guy who was a pediatric cardiologist on the plane, come back from San Antonio, and we're just talking, and I said, yeah, I was talking about the guy who Chloe was in care of, which was Dr. Lim, if memory serves. He goes, "Oh, I know Dr. Lim." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What's going on with your daughter?" I said, "Ventricular tachycardia." He goes, "Ah, no, you mean STAC, supra." I can't remember. It's SVT. That's what he said. SVT. I said, "No, it's VTAC." He goes, "Well, I never heard that in a baby." I said, that doesn't even happen in my practice, pediatrics." And he goes, "That's mostly old people." I say, "Yeah." He goes, "Wow." He goes, "I have to talk to him about that because that's the first I've ever heard of that." Anyway, long story short, you just see when he went in there, and these guys are just like, "What?" Anyway, so the words I'm going with this is that it was very, very scary. And the night that we dropped her off there, it just, why did drop her off there? They didn't medevac her with a, did they medevac with a helicopter to UVA? I can't remember. Anyway, they took her either via helicopter or ambulance. I think it was an ambulance. I can't remember. Long story short, I had broken down at that night. Broken down. And I said, "It's all beyond my control." I was so flippin' scary because there's nothing I could do. My daughter was in a hospital in Charlottesville. My wife was in a hospital in Harrisonburg. I had my Maddie with me in Dayton, and there's nothing I could do to protect my newborn baby girl. It was the most humbling experience I've ever had in my life, and I got on my hands and knees. I didn't get on my hands and knees to pray. I got on my hands and knees because I literally fell apart. I said, I can't, I'll never forget." And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the peace of the good Lord, the Holy Spirit was sent down and said, "Don't worry, don't worry." And I will never forget that feeling of peace that came over me. It's like, God did not say it's going to turn out okay. He did not say, "I bless you, my son, with happiness and wealth." No, he just said, "Don't worry." I'll never forget that. Oh, almost makes me tear up thinking about it right now. And he did not promise me joy. He did not promise me no pain. He just said, "Don't worry." And I think I shared this before, but I had a client, a couple Jewish people, some Jewish folks up in Pennsylvania, nicest people. And he was a doctor, an ER doctor. She was, what was she? What did she do? I think a psychologist. Some real nice people. No animosity towards these people at all, but they're Jewish, and they didn't have the same. Kind of like one of those not Orthodox Jews, but almost like the ethnicity of Jewish as opposed to being the religious of Jewish. If that makes sense, because there are a lot of, well, it's kind of like Christian Catholics and CNE Catholics, whatnot. I imagine these are the same. Anyway, long story short, I'll never forget. She goes, "Oh yeah, your mind is using a defensive mechanism." I remember sitting across from her in their table, their kitchen table, we're going over their finances. I'll never forget her telling me that. She goes, "Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, it's just your mind, defensive mechanism." And I say, "Man," and I knew they weren't. I knew they weren't religious, but the fact that they were, they said, "We're a Jewish family in here," as if being Jewish would indicate they're religious. They weren't, man. They were just Jewish in ethnicity more than anything. I got no qualm with that. But I'll never forget. I said, you've never had a religious experience, obviously, because that was the deepest religious experience I've ever had. That wasn't my mind playing tricks as a defensive mechanism. I'll never forget looking at her. And I just kind of chuckled. I said, "Okay." I mean, I'm not going to prove to her, and she can't prove to me. All I know is what happened. As such as okay. And I said, I remember thinking, I just remember, feeling bad for him, actually, her in particular, that she doesn't know what the joy of God is like, and she wants to put it in she wants to put it in the context of your brainwaves. I didn't want to go into the debate, but I was like, well, who created those brainwaves? Primordial soup, Josh. Something came out of nothing. How dare you? Okay. All right, so I wanted to hey everybody. Money guy show. So another guy's live? Jeez Louise. Oh boy. So Glenn, you got nervous in June, but now you're less nervous? Dude, what are you doing? The markets are now even down, or are they getting crushed again? Let's see. Yeah, so now we're down. The S&P is down another 34 points, another about a little bit less than 1%, on top of yesterday. So The one thing you don't want to do is retire and then sit there and say, "Oh my goodness," you can't do that. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you can't. You can't. You don't want that to happen, man. You don't want to retire and say, "I'm nervous. I should never have done it," and people do that. All right. Well, yeah, well, I know that, right? I mean, Judaism for practitioners is the same Abrahamic religion. I get that. They just don't have the Trinity and they don't look at Jesus as a savior. I get that. What I'm saying is there are many Jewish people who are not religious. They just use it as a Steven Spielberg, for instance. You know what I'm saying? They're Jewish in name as an ethnicity. Like I'm white, but am I white in terms of that doesn't mean anything, if that makes sense. Um, anyway, so the point being is that just because they're Jewish doesn't mean they're religious. Just because you're Christian doesn't mean you're religious either. And just because you're Muslims, the same thing. The point being was they were very quick to let me know that they were Jews because I think they knew I had deep-seated Christianity as a way to kind of almost use that to say, hey, don't be coming in here with your Christianity and trying to convert us and all that. I mean, it wasn't like that, but yeah, you could see it. And if you look at that area of southern New Jersey, southeastern PA, there's a lot of Jewish families there, and I dealt with a lot of them and wonderful people, a lot of people up there in Moorestown, tons of them. But the issue is, at the end of the day, they might be Jewish, but they certainly weren't Orthodox or practicing, and that has nothing to do with being a Jew. It has to do with tons of people just like that. They don't practice. And when I say practice, it doesn't mean go to church. I mean, just do you ever pray? We had a family down the street who was very Orthodox, not where they have the things hanging from their thing, but they're very Jewish. They used to do the whole thing, man. My daughter went down there one time when they're doing one of their tradition things, Chloe, and it was interesting. And I got nothing but respect for people who practice their religion deeply, who hold the religion with pure faith. I got nothing but respect. Muslims, Jewish, I don't care what religion you are, Christian. If you hold your faith in that high regard where you're doing it on a regular basis, I got nothing but respect. Nothing at all. If you're holding yourself out as a person of said religion in order to defend yourself from, how dare you come after me? I'm a Christian, you know what I'm saying? Yet you're not praying and you're just up to no good. No. I can't be doing that. I don't want anything to do with that. That's bad. That gives the Christianity a bad look. And this is why we don't want to be in power, by the way. Christians should not be in the business of trying to be in political power as a Christian. No. That's where it gets, we really do bad things. And Christianity is always better looking out. It's almost like republicanism, if you will, conservatism. We're always better when we're on the outside looking. All right. Let's see here. Well, what is an evil religion? I mean, what would that be? And don't say it here because I don't want anyone. I don't say it, but I just what is an evil religion? I mean, all right, right here. So I want to share with you guys. We're going to start with this right here, and I thought this was an interesting point to start. This is my man John Malden. Did I post something on this today? I can't remember if I did or not. All right, so this is interesting. Your inflation may vary. You think, and I like John Malden stuff. I don't subscribe to his newsletter. I find your ideas intriguing. I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter. Hey, whoever knows that, who said that, put that in the notes. What's up with tolerance anyway? I find your ideas intriguing. I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter. Anyway, so I don't subscribe to John Malden's newsletter, but I do read him on Advisor Perspectives. Let's see here. Right here. Currently, we can have inflation and recession. I think inflation was a serious threat. Everyone's inflation experience is unique. We all have our particular spending patterns, so our experience will feel worse if inflation is more severe in the goods and services we normally buy. Did you hear that? Our experience in inflation will feel worse if more severe in the goods and services we normally buy. One might not notice it as much as others do. For example, if you already own your home, you really don't worry about housing inflation. Similarly, inflation varies among countries. That's another point too, even those with close economic conditions. So connection. So I want to show you something here. He showed this right here. Nigerian food inflation. All right, so you can see 22% year over year from July 2021 to July 22. 20% from October, I guess October, September, August 2021 from August 2020, if that makes sense. And then we have low inflation. Oh, no, it's not low. It's still 17%. See how you can really manipulate data? And he's not doing this. He actually points this out. But he's like, look, we're using 17% as our baseline here. So even when inflation was low in Nigeria, 17% year over year, it looks low here, but it's not. You see what I'm saying? It's still 20% year over year. That's food inflation. As of July, food prices in Nigeria are up 22% from the same point as last year. The comparable US change was only 10.9% in the United States. Americans have it bad, but not like Nigerians. All right, so then he comes down here. And this is very, I almost posted this on my my bulletin board, the community section of YouTube, but I didn't because I was figuring I was going to talk about it. All right, here we are. Core inflation in food and energy. All right, so if we look at core inflation, now this is CPI. I don't know how the consumer price index is measured in Estonia or Czechoslovakia or whatever. I don't know in terms of what their weightings are. I have no clue. This is where the whole story of inflation is just so silly. Look at here's Mexico. It's low compared to Estonia. Well, what are they measuring it, man? I mean, come on. I don't know. I mean, so, but we're just going to run with it. So core, because the BLS isn't looking in Mexico and Estonia to see what their inflation is. Just as silly. But be it as it may, we're going to run this. So core inflation in the U.S. is everything minus food and energy. That'd be transportation. That'd be right here. Transportation. That would be education. But the big one, of course, the core inflation is housing. Housing is more than half of core inflation. All right. Housing. And we just go back up to here what John says. All right. Right here. For example, if you already own your home, you don't really worry about housing inflation. Exactly. All right. So let's keep going here. Where is the inflation coming from? Oh, if only someone had been saying this for freaking years, it's coming from food and energy. And you think they're not, these things don't play themselves with each other? Yes, they absolutely. Food and energy, the reason they're inflating, because they both work together. It starts right here with energy. So here is the USA, our inflation of whatever it was, 8.5%. Basically, food is a quarter of that. Energy is a third of that. And the rest is really going to be in housing. But housing doesn't affect me because I got a fixed rate mortgage and I'm not buying or selling a house. You see what I'm saying? And don't forget, core also, the second biggest part of core inflation is transportation. So the two biggest components of core inflation are housing, which really doesn't affect me, and transportation, which really doesn't affect me. Now, I'm going to share with you some where a little bit that's not exactly true, but pretty doggone close. Food and energy do. Food and energy. Look at this, Estonia, food and energy. I can't see what that says. LVA. I don't know what that is. Czechoslovakia. I'm not certain. But look at that. Food and energy. I think it's probably Germany. German. I don't know what that is. Slovakia, Chile, I guess. Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Ireland. Energy. See that? Look at that. Energy. Israel, Norway. I don't know what ISL is. France, I suppose. Korea. Anyway, you can see right there, the food and energy is the biggest component of inflation by far, by far. And that's all because of the Green New Deal crap, the evilness. I can't wait for the Nuremberg trials for that too. I want Nuremberg trials for what happened in 2020 to 21. And I want Nuremberg trials. We'll start with Boris Johnson. We'll put him on the stand, that clown. All right. Anyway, so let's keep going. So I've made a comment here. Because he uses all these charts and stuff, and I just actually, frankly, kind of bores me. But I made a comment, and let me see if I can't find what I had written. Because let me see if I can't find it. Yeah, I don't think y'all can see this. Let me see if I can change this over. They call me yuck mouth. Why? Because I don't brush. They call me yuck mouth. Why? Because I don't brush. All right, there we go. Latvia, yeah, someone said Latvia. So here my comment was, John hits the nail on the head when he writes, for example, if you already own your own home, you don't really worry about housing inflation unless you want to sell, and that's not really a worry. But then he seems to completely ignore everywhere else when it comes to inflation. By far the biggest component of all CPI is housing. Nothing comes close. Take out food and energy, and housing is well more than half of CPI, most of which consists of shelter, which is a stupid owner's equivalent rent and rental equivalent. Yes, fuels and utilities represent a portion of housing, but small. So what analysts should actually do is solely focus on food and energy as the inflation baseline, because much of the rest of the CPI is minimal to most people, those that own their own homes. All right, so let me go into where I really want to go into this, because this can be fun. So now we're going to go to my spreadsheets, and I'm going to show you. So what we've been doing is we've been taking the BLS numbers, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the inflation myth. All right. Oh, dude, this is freaking awesome. Yes. All right. So this is what I'm working on my book. All right. So we got from the Consumer Expenditure Survey, and we got just paper after paper, crap after crap. And when I say crap, because my thing is just a nightmare. And in terms of all the stuff I got, let me show you what I'm looking at here. All right. And this is right here. Age of reference person, average annual expenditures and characteristics, CES, Consumer Expenditure Survey, 1984. I got every single year print off, and it's a nightmare. I ran out of staples, actually, so it's even more unorganized. All right, so we're going to look at that, and that's what my spreadsheet is, what we're going to do. We're going to look at that. All right, so what we're doing here, my friends, let me show you what we're doing. We are taking people aged 45 and 54 in 1984. We're going 10 years later to 1994. Those same people, it won't be the exact same people, but it's the same cohorts who are now 55 to 64. We're taking the exact same people 10 years later who are now 65 to 74, and we're taking the exact same people who are 10 years later who are over 75. So these people are basically on average 50 years old, we'll just say, for instance. It's 49.1 to be exact, but still 49 years old here. I'm just going to say 50 for simplicity. In 1984, that cohort of people are now 60, now 70, and now over 75. We'll say 80. All right. We're going from 1984, 1994, 2004, 2014. We're following the trajectory of their expenditures as they age. All right, so their total expenditures in 1984 in 1984 dollars is $28,696. All right, so of those expenditures, and it gives you the whole list of everything they spend. It's freaking fantastic. We got, of these people, there's 13,000 is our sample size. 13,000. That's a statistically significant sample size. All right. They're spending 4,300 of that 28,000 on food. And you can do a quick percentage. You say 4,300 divided by 28,000. That is a 15% of their expenditures are on food. Of that food, 2,581 is at home and 1,751 is food away. So basically, what's that? 65, 35, 60, 40. So they're spending roughly 60% at home, 40% on the road, 65, 35, something like that. All right. Hope everybody makes sense so far. All right. Now we're seeing their housing. Again, this is in 1984 dollars, not adjusted for inflation. Their housing, they spent $2,693. Now, housing consists of owned dwellings, all housing items other than rental dwellings. All housing items consist of mortgage interest, property tax, maintenance, and repairs. All right. So their housing costs, this does not include utilities. This is just the big three: property tax, maintenance, and mortgage interest. Their housing costs are basically $2,700. So basically, about 10% of their expenses for housing. Interesting, isn't it? Because housing as a weight is about 35 to 40%, depending on what year you're using CPI. Very, very interesting. Utilities follow into total housing, but in this case, as we're separating it out, it's $2,096. All right, so utilities again are roughly 0.8%. Housing is about 0.9%. Food is about I forgot what I said. It's 15%. Interesting. Apparel, $1,600 for apparel. Transportation, look at that. Interesting. So transportation is their biggest expense. Huh. Why would that be? Well, because they bought a new car. $2,535 is what they bought for a new car. Now, does that consist of payments? Yes, because we got finance charge here. But anyway, either way, it matters not. This is what they paid either amortized over monthly payments with a finance charge, or they paid up front. So of the 15,000 people, the average spent $2,500 on a vehicle purchase, be it a new car or a used car, matters not. $1,500 went to gasoline, and I think it's actually gasoline and gas and motor oil. $1,500 went to gas and motor oil. Isn't that interesting? It's quite a significant expense. Healthcare. Well, they're only 45 to 54, so not a huge amount of healthcare, but they spent $1,245 on healthcare. Entertainment. They spent more on entertainment than healthcare. How much they actually put into their pensions, 401ks, retirement plans, and Social Security is $28.76. Of that $28.76, $23.91 was to pay Social Security. All right. So let me just make sure. I want to look at the comments, make sure everybody's with me so far. Everybody with me so far? This is the average, yeah. What's up, Mark? All right. Now let's check this out. Let's keep going. All right. So they isn't that interesting? 600 bucks a month per gas. Because I had my man, Ronnie McDonald, email me yesterday. I said, Ron, how much you spending now that you're retired relative to when you were working? And if I can find his email. No time for that. No time for that. No time for that. Hold on a second. He said, oh boy, that is one loud bar job. Hey. Okay. All right. So Ron was saying, what did I do with the email, man? All right, here. Last year, our expenses were about $7,600 a month while he was working. Now our expenses are about $5,600 a month. We paid off the mortgage, but the mortgage was pretty low anyway, only $670 a month. Much of the rest of the savings has to be work-related, which are much higher than I would have guessed. All those quick road trips to Chick-fil-A really add up. Never mind the price of gas. Did you hear what he just said and what Angie said there too? My husband spends $600 a month for gas to get to his crappy old job. And I'm not sure Angie's husband has a crappy old job, but either way. You see that? Exactly. Yep, 100%. Big tribe in Cherry Hill, Morristown, Haddonfield, 100%. Oh, how dare you? Come on, man. It's okay. People, it's like, man, there's big tribe there. It's fun. And that's I gotta share this story with you. This is the funniest thing ever. All right, so we get to Haddonfield, South Jersey, and Chloe is in second grade, I think, and the teacher says her first day of school or second day of school or something like that. So they get off for Rosh Hashanah, and hey, babe, hey, what did they say? Was it Rosh Hashanah? Well, they said a code. Who knows Rosh Hashanah or something like that, right? Or
something like observe Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, so you get off of Rosh Hashanah. Yeah. You want to tell the story to everybody? Okay. Would you stop? And they said, the teacher said, no. They said, who here? Hey, no. I'm going to have to put these guys in the crates on a second. Okay, enough, Benny. Stop it right now. Hey, come here. All right, let's go. Hey, you want to put them in the crates? All right. So the teacher said, we get off of Rosh Hashanah. Who here observes Rosh Hashanah? And Chloe raised her hand. And Chloe said, hey, Mom, who's Rosh Hashanah? And mom's like, why? She goes, well, they get off of Rosh Hashanah, so I said I knew who she was. That's not classic. I don't know what it is. We got some guys painting our house right next to us, and they're right out there in the front porch. So that's why Finney's barking. Anyway, isn't that funny? Who's Rosh Hashanah? And anyway, also Chloe said, and I didn't understand. She kept saying Witter. What's Witter? And that's how they pronounce water in South Jersey. Witter. Who wants some Witter? Witter. Witter. That's what a Witter. Anyway, so who here knows Rosh Hashanah? Oh, that was classic. What the hell were we just talking about? Now I lost my train of thought. All right, so anyway, let's. Annette said July fuel $6.92, August $3.09. Eesh, crazy. That's a big savings, though. All right, so I want to keep going back to my spreadsheet because I want to show you something. And so everybody gets at what I'm doing here, right? All right, so check this out. So our total expenditures in 1984 numbers, 1994 numbers, 2004 numbers, and 2014 numbers, the only increase we had, we went from 28,000 to 36,000. As these people got older, their level of spending went down. I think I can. Finnegan, you are killing me, buddy. I think we can graph this. Yes. So look at that. Here's our expenditures in 1984 numbers, 1994, 2000, and look, it levels off. Isn't that interesting? I just like the chart because I'm a very visual person. We're going to look at food. Check this out. And we're going to go view, chart. Whoa, food away from home starts declining. Isn't that interesting? Everyone's like, when you retire, you're going to be eating out more. Show me the evidence. There is no evidence of that. None whatsoever. You might have anecdotal evidence the first couple of years of retirement. There is no evidence that you're going to be eating out significantly as you age into retirement. There isn't any. At least according to the BLS numbers. I mean, you might have an anecdotal, but look at that. Away from home food, which costs significantly more than food at home, levels off to even drops. Interesting. All right, check this out. Housing, the biggest expense there is. Check housing out. Look at housing. Maintenance and repairs goes up. Property tax has gone up. Mortgage interest. Remember, this does not include principal because they use principal as an asset. Paying down your principal is not a cost, it's actually an asset, which doesn't make any sense, but be it as it may. Just would even show you in reality, having no mortgage means you have more free cash flow because they are using your mortgage payment as an amortization. They're using your interest as a cash, a negative, a debit on your cash flow, a credit on your asset base. But from a cash flow perspective, is all that matters. How much you got coming in, how much you got going out. Look at this. Mortgage interest drops off. Property tax and maintenance goes up. But the fact we aren't using owner equivalent rent or rental dwellings, which is a huge part of inflation, the CPI. All right, let me delete this. I just want to point this out. So if we look at in actual dollars, our housing cost went up by $2,000 over 40 years' time. And this is in 2014. So we take our trusty calculator. We say it went from $26.93 to $47.81. Future value, zero payment. That's 1984 to 1994, 1994 to 2000. That's 30 years. Our housing costs went up by 1.98% a year. That's it. 1.98% a year. All right, would you stop? All right, just lay down. No. 1.98% a year. All right, we go. Just put them in the crate. All right, there you go. Very good. Thanks, buddy. All right, so now we're going to go to food. How much? So we got 1.98% a year. We'll just say 2% a year. So food, how much did food go up? This is in literal dollars. 1984 to 2014, not inflated dollars. This is absolutely spending dollars. You spent in 2014 $43.49 on food. So we take 43.41 is our present value. 43.49 is our future value. Food went up 0.006%. That's it. Oh, they're doing 0.01. All right. So we take total expenditures. All right. So let's do this. 28,696 present value, 36673 future value. That's 0.82% a year inflation. That's it, man. You're not inflation, it's spending. Your spending went up less than 1% a year over those 30 years. And let me show you why. We're going to keep going out. Apparel, we've dropped. We spent $683 on apparel. We spent $1,000 more than that when we were in our 45s and 54. That makes sense. Oh, transportation, finance charge goes down. Interesting. Transportation, we actually, because we're not buying cars, we're not using gasoline, as Angie and Annette were just saying. Hey, you need to pipe it, Piper. He doesn't listen to me. He knows who's boss. Well, Pablo's boss there, Finney. So Pablo's being quiet. Pablo's a good boy. Transportation went down 0.51% a year. Negative. I thought I did negative. Oh, Finnegan. There we go. Entertainment only went up a little bit. Pensions. This is what we contribute to our retirement accounts. Well, you can see Social Security went down because we're not very few of us work. So why is this? Well, let's take a look. Household size. The household size when you're 45 to 54 is 3.1 people. The household size when you're over 75 is 1.6. All right. Someone dies. Kids get out of the house. Only inherently makes sense. Oh, but Josh, they must be on welfare. No, public assistance is actually less in dollars, and actually nominal dollars is less in 2014 than it was in 1984 for the same cohort of people as public assistance. Homeowner percentage, 77% in 1984, of which only 21% had no mortgage. 80% were homeowners in 2014, of which 66% had no mortgage. Huh, interesting. Let's see. Home value went from 63,000 to 191 over those 30 years time. So we take 63,486, our present value, 191,788 is our future value. Home value increased by 3.75%. Isn't that interesting? Taxes. Here, that's income taxes drop because we're not making that much money. Interesting, huh? Income. Huh. Let's take a look at this. Let's do this chart right here. I'm not sure it's going to work, so I got those things right there. Yeah, let me do this again. One sec. Delete chart. Let me just delete these two little asterisks. All right. Income right here. So there's our income. And this is in actual dollars. We have 1984, it went up, and makes sense. As we're getting older, we spend more, we have more income, and then it drops. Our income dropped. Well, because we're running out of money, Josh. Really? Our income taxes went down by, a little more than half. Our asset change went way high up. Now, this is from year over year, by the way. So our change in assets from 2014 to 2013, we actually had $10,000 more of net assets than we did the previous year. The only time we had less changes in 2004, because that's coming off the 2003 where the markets were down 22%. That's it. Look at that. We increased our assets by 3,000 here. We increased our assets by 2,300 there. 2003 to 4, we lost assets, but here 2014, we increased our assets by $10,000. Our assets were going up. There are less people on public assistance, more homeowners without a mortgage, less people in the house. Inherently, that means so we're spending less because we have less people in the house. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Yes, it is. The biggest expenditure increase, well, no one's going to be surprised by that, is healthcare. Healthcare went from 1,245 to 5,708. That's a 5.2% increase in healthcare, which lo and behold is exactly what I use in my right capital. I actually use 5.5. I don't know how anyone could look at this and not say, "Wow, that's pretty cool." So we go to, I mean, I think I was messing around this before we got on this. I'm not sure it's going to work very well. Let's see. Insert chart. There we go. So we can see our total expenditures go up. They flatten off. Our food flattens. Our at-home food, our away-from-home food goes down. Our housing costs go up. But the mortgage interest goes way down. Mortgage interest being paid off is offset by increase in property tax and increase in maintenance. If that doesn't fire you up, dudes, I don't know what else will. Now, I guess people could say, I don't know what else people could say. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking this is literally a cohort of the same group of people as they go, what they call a linear longitudinal study. It doesn't mean it's Joe Smith right here and Joe Smith here. It could be, I don't know. But either way, it's a cohort of people right here as they age. Now, what I'll do later on, I'm going to add where it's not the cohort, it's actually the people who are 45 to 54 in 1984, 45 to 54 in 1994. That's secondary to this right here, because this takes the group of people who are literally going through their life cycle and say, what's happening here? What's happening? And the facts are they're doing just fine. The idea that your spending needs to be adjusted for inflation at whatever the hell 3%, or it's just freaking stupid, man. I'm sorry. Because the vast majority of inflation is right here, which is owner equivalent rent. And I'll just read it to you right here. It's called owner equivalent rent. Hold on just a second. Yeah. So we got housing. It consists of shelter. Shelter is owned dwellings or rented dwellings. One of those two. Under owned dwelling, that's rented dwellings. That is part of expenditures on housing. If you own your dwelling, why in the good Lord's name would anyone have an expenditure for rented dwellings? It makes no sense. You got utilities, you got household operations, which are pretty minimal, housekeeping supplies, housing furnishings and equipment, apparel, transportation, healthcare, entertainment, education, tobacco, alcohol. We got sources of income. Oh, by the way, too, that's why sources of income. You guys ready for this? Sources of income. Income 20,116. So we're going to say we got income right. Where was the income? Right there. 20,116 of their source of income for these guys right here was from Social Security, private and government retirement. Social Security, private and government retirement. I'm going to cancel sharing for a second. This is why, what does private and government retirement mean to you? Well, people think taking a distribution from your retirement accounts. Does it not? Yes, it would. You don't know that in terms of questions they ask. It's very, very confusing, the questions they ask, because they say, do you have a government retirement? It's insinuating a pension, essentially. And you say, no. And there's no secondary thing. Do you have distributions from an IRA? Now, supposedly they're changing that to make that happen. I don't know if that's true or not. Supposedly they are. But they're sitting there saying, do you have private or government retirement? How about distribute? And then we got all top that interest, dividends, rental, or other property income, public assistance, food stamps. I already talked about that. Regular contributions for support, self-employment income, wages or salaries, interest, dividends, rental income. You notice what's not in there? Capital gains, selling of a brokerage account. Where would you put that in the survey? There is no place you would don't know where to put it, because it doesn't say, did you sell money from an account in which to fund your expenditures? No. So that means it's not included in expenditures, which is nuts, because you spent that money. I spent, what did I sell? Last year I sold $60,000 of M1, my M1 account, to finance my consumption. And that's, when I say finance my consumption, basically pay my taxes for my Roth conversions. All right, I think I had 6,000 of capital gain. It doesn't say no capital gain. It just says simply interest, dividends, rental income, or other property. Doesn't say capital gain. Doesn't say capital gain. Well, let's just say even they added that. Would my expenditures be $60,000? Yes. Would it say only capital gain? It'd only be $6,000. It's very, very misleading. So when it comes to income, it's very suspect, especially for retirees, man. You see what I'm saying? And yet on the expenditure side is very misleading because they're using owner equivalent rent and CPI, and on top of that, rental your rental equivalent, if that makes sense. It doesn't make any sense. If you can't see this and not be freaking stoked and say, not only anecdotal, we just read you my man Ronnie McDonald. He's already spending. So he had, I think he said what he's going down from. He went from 91. All right, so 1 second. Oops. What you doing, Liam? Up to no good, I can tell. His spending has already gone down 25% since he quit working. And he ties and he likes to, and he's younger, so he's taking vacay and whatnot. That's going to go way down from there too. You see what I'm saying? And he only had a $670 mortgage. The whole point is your inflation numbers are what matters, not some stupid government thing. I'm just telling you right now. All right. Well, you would think. Yes, they should. Where'd you go, Harry? I think capital gains will kill us. I don't get what you mean. Yeah, 100%. Here's vinyl. Why rely on general surveys when you know exactly what your own situation is? But people don't. You went to, all right, right on. Okay, Harry. You went for your better half. I got you. The better half said, we're going to Iowa. Harry's like, I want to go to Texas. And she said, nope, we're going to Iowa. But the problem is, vinyl, is no one knows it. A lot of people don't want to take time. There's no other way. They're just lazy. I don't want to. They want other people to tell them what to do. I've come to that conclusion now that no matter what, there's a group of people who will listen and set their own path, but there's a lot of people who won't. Who listen to Leanna Wen from CNN, who's obviously a controlled 100%. She is put into play by the evil powers that be to wreak havoc on society. There's no two ways around it, and she sold her soul to do that. She did not. She wasn't said, Leanna, you will do this. They said they gave her the opportunity. They said, you want fame and fortune, you can do it. Now, prove that? No. But it's obvious, man. It's without question. As people get plucked, they get put in front of the screen and say, look, this could all be, it's no different than Jesus being enticed by the devil. This could all be yours, Jesus, all be yours. And Jesus says, get out of here, devil. You see what I'm saying? And that the same thing happens to people all the time. You want fame and fortune? Yeah. All right. We're going to make a deal. All right, Satan. Did you hear? I didn't know this, but I was listening to a video the other day. Bob Dylan was being interviewed by Ed Bradley. He's like, it's quite scary actually when you hear of this guy. You're like, dude, like he's literally stating outright that he sold his soul to the dark side. It's crazy, man. And you're like, you always have. Why would Bob Dylan? I mean, he can't sing. I mean, his voice is horrible, but it's so unique. Yeah, uniquely horrible. But obviously, Bob Dylan, sold his soul, and he said it to Ed Bradley in very unspecific. You can literally, he says that. I mean, it's crazy, crazy. They do what they need to do. That's why you got to listen to my man Mark Devlin, Devlin. Go to djmarkdevlin.com. If you like music and you want the underside of the evil that becomes of music, because again, music, if it can create good feelings in your soul, it can create the opposite too, and it has done that. And very interesting how some of the most iconic hippies from the Grateful Dead to all that stuff were all, a lot of these guys were from families that were very deep statish, if that makes sense. And that's not just a happenstance in my opinion. Jim Morrison, the whole thing is actually it's alarming, frankly, but it's alarming in a good way because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and then you don't have to worry about it. All right. All right. Oh, capital gains because your house went up. Yeah. Yeah. And if you sell it, you're going to pay capital gain. Remember, you got what, 500,000 is what you get away with. But you're gonna have to look at your cost. Like, so I'm putting, we put a boatload of money into this house, and when we sell it, It'll be worth more than 500,000 what we paid for it, but we have a huge cost basis in what we've been doing to it. So but I mean, look, I'm sorry, and don't take this wrong, Angie. Not just a famous admiral, the guy who was basically knee deep in the Gulf of Tonkin fakeness is crazy. Right on, man. But Angie, I got no sympathy. Don't take this wrong. Don't get off the stream. When people gripe about capital gain tax, I say and I'm not saying Angie's doing this. Don't take this. Yes, it sucks. It sucks that you got to pay capital gains tax, but the reason you have to pay the tax because you made money. I'll pay capital gain tax any day of the week, man. Don't take that wrong, Angie. I still find it interesting that, and I said this the other day, that Joe Walsh, Chrissy Hind, and all the guys from Devo were literally at the Kent State shooting. Literally, they're there. That's not odd. The two of the guys from MC5 were literally sent to a Kentucky, somewhat of a sanitarium that's well known for mind control by the federal government. That stuff's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? Now you think, but MC5 never became super duper successful. No, because they have these people lined up, and some people they're called, it's like they're being called from the minor leagues, man. You know what I'm saying? And my guy was talking about David Bowie, how he thinks David Bowie knew. Apparently, he got darker as he aged, and he said, "I just think David Bowie was basically comforted. Well, not comforted. He came to the conclusion that he had sold his soul, and there was no making amends." And he was using some other example of some other guys that were trying to make amends. You could tell in their later songs that they're trying to escape from the past, and he wasn't. Anyway, very interesting. I did not know this. I haven't confirmed it, but this is what Mark said. Lady Gaga is a cousins of Madonna, who's a cousins with Celine Dion. And I almost want to say there's Gloria Steinem is in there someplace too, or Barbara Streisand. I can't remember those two people. But I said, what? Lady Gaga is cousins with Madonna, who's also cousins with Celine Dion. And there's some iconic feminist lady, Streisand or Gloria Steinem, that's involved. And then there's another lady. Oh, who the hell was it? That was Debbie Harry. Is that her name? Debbie, from the Blondie. Debbie Harry, right? Is that her name? Debbie Harry from Blondie. Who was working at a Playboy mansion or Playboy bar or something like that. And the whole story is crazy. You're like, whoa, like it's weird. And Gloria Steinem was involved in it somehow. And I can't remember exactly how, but I was like, this is freaking some strange stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, I doubt you kept all the receipts too. It is what it is, man. It's you're gonna have to pay 15 to 20% tax on your gains, but the facts are you got a gain. That's a good problem to have. A hell of a lot better than being in 2008. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. Just got a heartburn. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Good dog. Good boy. All right. Just had to get some water because you ever get just all of a sudden heartburn? I hate that, man. I don't have it very often. Every now and again, I get it. It's like, ugh, not a good feeling. Someone's like, when you have to go to the bathroom, there's no toilet around. All right. When should I hire a wealth advisor? Says Dylan. I'm 25, starting my first big boy job. Is there a savings recommendation? Talk amongst yourselves, said Diana. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think what's a wealth advisor going to do for you at 25? Not much. I would just make sure you don't take on debt. I mean, literally, the best thing you can do is just make sure that your debt load is minimal. No other way around that. I mean, you can buy my retirement planning course for half price for the next probably 20 days or something like that. and that will set you on the right path. And I put that course out there for people who don't have the resources or didn't want to pay for my services. But what's a wealth advisor going to do? Sell you some stocks and mutual funds, and you can do that. You don't need a wealth advisor for that. He could tell you about powers of attorney. All that's wonderful, 100%. I mean, but in this case, man, I would just learn the best I can, man. And sometimes the best learning is mistakes. Sometimes you got to make mistakes to be better for it, if that makes sense. Like me selling covered call options on PetSmart, and the queues as being written down to basically nothing. Yeah, I got no problem with Ed Jones, 100%, man. Yeah, Ed Jones, a good place to go with. I got no problem with that at all. So my man could go over to Ed Jones and say, look, man, I don't want to be doing all this crap. You just, set me up in a plan. You're going to take 5% commission. I got no problem with that at all. I'd much, much, much rather have somebody pay a 5% front end commission than a 1% fee. Yeah, I don't know. That's not so sure I buy into that. Rick says save 20%. If you look, the problem with that is that we're just going to go back to the consumption smoothing model. That when people are just starting out and they can't save 20% because of debts that they have accumulated, be it mortgages, cars, or student loans, if they can't save 20%, they'll be like, "Oh, I can't save 20%." So, and this is where Dave Ramsey actually makes sense in this. I completely agree with the assessment. He goes, well, people are saying, like, Dave, how can you say you're going to get 10 to 12% rate of return? He goes, because sometimes that's the only way to get people to start saving. I literally agree. I get his assessment in that. The concern I have is that if people don't get 10 to 12% rate of return, they're going to stop. You know what I'm saying? They say, well, Dave said if I put 10,000 bucks in, it should be worth 11,200 the next year, and it's not. It's actually down. So I'm going to stop this. But his contention is if you have people investing over the starting good habits, that will create better habits in the future. I agree with that. But the problem I have is that people start saying all these, people start using that as a model. They could get disenchanted if that makes sense. Am I still a fan of Ginnie Mae? Yes. I never say verse a fixed annuity, but yes, I'm still a fan of Ginnie Mae 100%. The reason I would never compare the two is because a fixed annuity is not liquid like Ginnie Mae is, if that makes sense. The main thrust of my new book. Oh, do I got my? Oh yeah, I got. I can't tell. Is it on inside out or outside in, Jim? I can't tell. But I did wear my shirt on the right side yesterday. I was going to show you guys. I forgot. And I was making some chicken. And I had chicken freaking juice all over my t-shirt, which is why I wear my t-shirts outside in when I'm cooking. Because it happened. It doesn't matter, dude. Your old buddy Josh, I'm like gravity. Do I want to say it? Yes, I want to say it. All right, let's see how many people jump off. All right, I'm really gonna make you guys want to leave my channel. So do you know Polaris, the North Star? Who wants to take a gander how many miles away that is? If you want to use light years, that's fine. Polaris, the North Star, the star that we follow to track. Who wants? Angie's leaving already. Who wants to take a guess how far away the North Star is? Yes. Jeremy, how many miles is that? You want to take a gander? How many miles is 300? It used to be 450 light years, but now it's 320 odd light years. How many miles? Literally, it used to be 400, literally from the 1990s. They found that out in the 1990s and 2012. They said, it's 325, 323 to be precise. How many miles away is the North Star? Who wants to take a guess? It's 2,000 under current regime now of 323 light years away. It's 2,000 trillion miles, the North Star. 2,000 trillion miles. Yet it's always up there. even though the Earth is spin, no, not 209, 2,000 trillion miles. It's always up there. It's definitely not in our gravitational pull. But yet the Earth is spinning supposedly 1,000 miles. What's it? It's the Earth is spinning like 60,000 miles an hour around the moon or something, like around the sun. On top of that, we're rotating 1,000 miles a day to rotate. And somehow the North Star is just still there, year in, year out. Even though it's 2,000 trillion. Yeah, right on, right on. Like our debt after Biden, but don't forget Trump and Bush, everybody else too. 2,000 trillion miles. I was listening to one guy said, a trillion seconds is the equivalent of 30,000 years. So the North Star, which is always up there, somehow we have this gravitational alignment with the North Star, which is 2,000 trillion miles away. And yet, we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour like this, and then we're rotating around the sun at 60,000 miles an hour, and our own galaxy is spinning at freaking whatever it is. I mean, it's insane. And yet, the North Star just remains in our ability to put our compasses by. I don't think we're living in a Truman Show. I actually don't. I think what it is that we've been so convinced of science that we escape the inevitable, which is our own observation. That what they've been teaching us doesn't make sense. It's satanic, man. It doesn't make sense simply because it's taking us away from God. I was listening to a guy who I enjoyed immensely, actually, his video on you can't see the Earth's curvature from the plane, I think is what his video was. And was it that? I can't remember, but and he's very, very Carl Saganite, Richard Dawkins, that kind of guy. But he's like, look, you can't see the Earth's curvature from the plane. I think it's I forgot what it was, but he's very science, NASA type. Anyway, and it was, but I'm watching this video and I enjoyed it. It was a great. I just forgot his name, but it was a great video. And he said, he goes, do you realize how insignificant we are when he's talking about how big the heavens are, or the heaven now, because the KJV now says the heaven, not the heavens. We all know it's the heavens. He says, do you realize how insignificant we are? And I said, see, that's satanic. No. You're not effing insignificant. That's what they're trying to get you to believe. That the heavens are beyond God's capacity to have insignificant means for you and for God's relationship. And I'm not saying this guy's satanic. I'm just saying he's been trained by Carl Sagan and all these clowns and Neil deGrasse Tyson and whatnot to view ourselves as insignificant, as just specks, a grain of sand on a freaking beach. And it's so wrong, man. It's so wrong. We are absolutely significant. And I find it just horrible, this ability to dignify the idea that these guys have proof of any of this. They know, man. And it just freaking pisses me off, man. Was going to say, does it matter to anyone how far away the North Star is? Yeah, because it allows people to continue the belief of insignificance. And if you believe that you are nothing, that your life, your soul, your divine spark is nothing, created from nothingness, back to nothingness, and you're insignificant, that's inhumane, literally inhumane. And it means something because you have meaning. And sadly, the suicides, the violence, the levels of just absolutely societal breakdown. And look, this happens in Christian countries and Jewish countries and Muslim countries too. Don't get me wrong. But the fight back is always through a moral code as God, man. And however you see God, it's up to you. I see God as Jesus Christ is the only Son of God, and He rose from the dead to open up the gates of heaven for our salvation, 100%. And people say all day long, that's crazy talk. It's a spaghetti monster in the sky. I say, that's okay, but your spaghetti monster in the sky is that the North Star is 2,000 trillion miles away. And somehow we remain in his gravitational field. So that way it is always there year after year after year. What is the source of all that? Another bigger star? What is it? You know what I'm saying? This is freaking idiotic, man. I get so sick of that crap because this is evil. Let's bust out the KJV. Because I had a guy on here really upset with me saying the KJV doesn't change. And he's like, oh, you're misremembering it. And I said, look, I'm not raised on the KJV, but I follow people who says the KJV never said these kind of things. And I'm going to share with you, there's no way the KJV said the matrix as opposed to the womb. No, there's no way, man. You know it, I know it. It changed. How did it get changed? I don't know. But on top of it, check this out. I'm going to share with you. Right, hold on a second. Because this is when I emailed to my brother and my sister. And I did this video on it yesterday. Yeah, right here. Job 21:24 and Numbers 11:12. All right, Numbers 11:12. This is the KJV. I got the NIV over there. I got Catholic Bibles. I got Amplified Bibles. I got Bibles on top of Bibles. So before anyone sit there and says, yeah, rah, rah. This is insane to me. That 11:12. All right, this is Numbers 11:12. It doesn't look like the right. I think I screwed that up. Hold on a second. Oh, right here. This is Numbers 11:12. Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them that they should sayest unto me, carry them in thy bosom, as a nursing father beareth the sucking child, unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers, as a nursing father? No, we know it didn't say that. Let's read Job here. Memory serves right there. Job. No such thing as a nursing father. Come on. Job 21:24. Right here. His breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened with marrow. His breasts are full of milk. No, this has changed. The supernatural. And the funny thing is, people say, no, that's crazy. God is supernatural. He's a supernatural being. He do whatever he wants. But also, too, that doesn't mean God changed it. That means we know Satan. Satan is the supernatural, too. Now, he doesn't reign supreme over God, but he can certainly change things without question. There's not some guy comes in the night and steals my Bible and puts a different one in. It's just supernatural beings changing things to change the focus of society, which is why the evil I talk about with these guys who say, oh, no, we're insignificant. No, we're not, man. It's crazy. And this all goes back to the whole point about retiring, man, because your significance isn't through your work. Your significance is who you are as a human being with a divine spark by the Creator. You got to recognize it. People here probably do, but I've already lost some people since we got the Bible. Some guys said, oh, you're talking about religion. I'm out here. So, not today, but I said, see you. I mean, this isn't a place for the weak-minded. It's just not. This is a place for people who have the ability to think. And a lot of people don't. They don't. How dare you bring wealth planning and religion? What, are you crazy? Planning generational wealth? Generational? Huh? Crazy. On top of that, I don't care. I'm going to talk about what I would talk about because I love God. God loves us. And if loving the Lord is wrong, I don't want to be right. My man Ben Johnson from USA said that. Ben Johnson. Remember when I first met that guy? I was like, this guy's I just remember he was very just turned out to be a great guy. We never came really tight because we moved on, but I always remember that guy, Ben Johnson, and he's kicked ass. It's sad some of the people you didn't get to know because they rub you wrong initially, and I try not to be as judgmental, but I remember but it turned out to be a real good guy. Give people a second chance, and you'll be surprised. Anyway, so if I'm sitting there digging the ditches, because a crap hill job, I have to take my crap hill job because if I don't, I'll run out of money, and I go home at night. I don't want to think about this. I just want to drink beers, watch football, whatever rocks your world, man. I don't care, but I don't think that's what most people want to do. Well, maybe most people, I don't know. I think there are a significant number of people who want to do more than that. Whatever it is, I don't know. But they're so afraid that because of the way the world is structured, to make it seem like you're crazy, that you're insignificant, this, that, the other, that they don't want to take the next step. And maybe a guy like me comes along, or a guy like you, or a lady like you says, "Hey, do you know you might be thinking about this incorrectly? There might be a different path here." And if you see the light, you might be bringing the Saul on the road to Damascus moment for somebody who could sit there and say, "Man, this is good. This is good. I quit my crap little job. I lost 30 pounds. My blood pressure is lower. I'm walking. I'm holding hands with my beautiful. You see what I'm saying? I'm bouncing my grandbabies on my lap. I'm going out there to the food shelter. I'm adopting dogs. I'm doing God's work for what God wants me to do. And as such, I'm advancing humanity as opposed to hiding in my cubicle, hiding in my freaking tent, hiding like this. Just, yes, sir. That doesn't mean everyone can do it. It doesn't mean that just because I say you can, you got to look at yourself, dudes. But for heaven's sake, man, not to at least consider it. However it is, it doesn't make sense to me. And then you're going to be grinding away. We had a huge accident on 285 yesterday. If you're familiar with Atlanta, 285 was called the perimeter. And the perimeter is closed on both sides. Closed on both sides. You know what I'm saying? And did I just read about someone who got killed in a who was my wife was just telling me about someone, I forgot. But anyway, the perimeter is closed on both sides, 285. That could have been you as you're driving to work in Atlanta. Not only how much time you wasted in your stupid car waiting, and 285 during rush hour is already a nightmare. To close that sucker down during rush hour, it's insane, dude. You just want to jump off a bridge, head first, and land on some concrete without a parachute. All right, without any freaking helmet on. Just take me out now. Horrible. How many people wasted? Hey, thanks, Dominguez. Give me 2 schmackers. You got something to say? No, nothing else to add. All right, that's cool. I appreciate your $2. I'll spend that right now on those puppies. Anyway, the point being is, man, it's too short. We don't know, like a thief in the night, and you just can't waste time. Again, maybe it's just because my bias, because I've been dealing with financial planning for so long. I've had story after story after story of people losing loved ones suddenly, and just they didn't have the ability to, especially wives and husbands. That kills them more than anything. Because I think about my wife, man. Like, because we have a great relationship. Actually, it's funny because we're talking to somebody. I think it was Maddie was sharing. My oldest was sharing with me. People that there's a lady she knows from college whose parents are split, and they're both divorced twice, and they both have new boyfriends and girlfriends who are probably gonna get married again, and the whole thing is just nuts. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, that's why they say 50% of all marriages end up in divorce, because we have Charlotte and me as one marriage, then each of those people had 2 other marriages. You see what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I don't think Charlotte's going to divorce me anytime soon. I hope not. I'm certainly not divorcing her. I'd be like a freaking fish out of water without my wife. Point being is, at the end of the day, not to be able to spend time with your significant other who you love dearly, but you've been driving for, in terms of getting back and forth to work. It's a lost opportunity, man. I think it's a bearing of the talents. I really, really do. And I just hope people don't do that because of a false sense of fear. So Ray asked me, no, Satan doesn't come in and change the words. It is hard to contemplate. The words get changed somehow. Because for a fact, I'm going to share with you something else here, because we all know this. I'm going to show you. We're going to go to my community tab. And this is the Mandela effect. How dare you, Mandela effect? We all know for a fact right here. What did Mr. Rogers say? Did he say it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, or is it a beautiful day in the neighborhood? We all know for a fact he said in the neighborhood. Let me see if we got any. So I had 300 votes. 92% of those 300 people said in the neighborhood. Let's see if we have anything added to that. Stop sharing. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on a sec. And so now we got 339 votes. 92% say it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Everybody knows that. Go watch Mr. Rogers right now. Just the theme song. You can watch on YouTube. It was going to say this neighborhood. How did that happen? I don't know. But we know for a fact it did not say this neighborhood. Yep, lots of stuff. I remember it was wrong. Just ask my wife. Comedians changed the wording and it stuck. Okay. Comedians changed the wording and it stuck. So we all are under the gauge or whatever it is of comedian changing the wording. We all know. I'm going to ask you something else too. Is it life is like a box of chocolates or life was like a box of chocolates? We all know it's life is like a box of chocolates. We all know that for a fact. Watch go back if you have the DVD or whatever. Forrest Gump is going to say life was like a box of chocolates. I mean, it's insane, this stuff, man. There's no way KJV said a man had milk in his breast. Nope. Sorry, it didn't happen. So these are the change. I don't know why. I don't know. These are just things we can pick off. Never mind the Monopoly Man. The one that got me the most was the Monopoly Man. Not having a monocle. We all know the Monopoly Man had a monocle. Everybody knows this. We're misremembering this. Why would we all misremember this? It doesn't make sense. I don't know what's happening there. I just know if you truly believe in the supernatural, which I absolutely do, the supernatural creator who created everything, the heavens and the earth, not heaven, the heavens in the plural and the earth, the supernatural happens, and that is God. And I don't know what else is going on out there. But it's funny when you look at these guys. Let me give an example. Look at those two little pumpkins. Hi, guys. They communicate to themselves without barking. You know this. They communicate. Dogs communicate without just via whatever osmosis. I don't even know what's called. You know what I'm saying? Telekinetics. They do. I can see it every single day with my two dogs. They're talking somehow in their heads. They're talking to each other. It's crazy. I don't know what it is. I don't know how. And you got to wonder, did we used to have the ability to do that? Human beings? I don't know. Did we lose it somehow? Because they can do it, man. I'm telling you right now, every morning I get up in the morning, I watch my dogs go through their routine, and you can see them talking to each other or communicating. It's not talking like verbal, but languaging with each other just by something that's happening. No one's barking. It's craziest thing in the world. And you can see it, this little dance they do. It's nuts. And I just sit there and say, how are they doing that? Well, it's beyond our ability to comprehend. And you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. Then you start saying there, if they're doing that beyond our ability to comprehend, what else are we not comprehending? It's crazy. It's fun. It's fun, actually. It's fun to think about. It's fun if you believe in the supernatural creator of all things, because you say at the end of the day, my destiny is hopefully is with God. I don't know. I can't prove that, but it makes you liberated. You don't have to worry so much. You say, I'm under God's good grace, His grace. That's all I need. God's grace. All right. See what else we got. Anyway, so what did my man? What's my book on? Ray said it's just beyond the idea of inflation. Is to measure inflation from a CPI or some other construed construct as part of your retirement plan makes no sense at all, and none. And I just proved it right there that actually. Oh my goodness! Look at that! Look. Oh my gosh! Look at him. It's so doggone cute. We just talked before I jumped on the live stream. They did something cute. We're all like, "Oh, it's so cute!" And Liam said, "We say it like 1,000 times a day, and they do the same things." And we're like, "Oh, it's so cute!" It is, man. I love it. Oh, good Lord! Thank you, Lord, for giving me such wonderful, wonderful happiness in my pups and just all things. So grateful to be loved by God. The thing that stinks is with that much joy, sadness can come too. With sadness, the only reason you're so sad is because you had so much joy. So we aren't Brave New World. We're all on Sama. We're all just like somewhat happy. We have Extremes on both, extreme sadness and extreme happiness. That's what it is to be human, man. I just love it. I love being a human being. I just love God. I love my wife, my family, my dogs. You guys are out there. It's just, man, no, I can show you something else. I'm not going to do it yet. I'll do that. So I'm doing a rice experiment again. Last time I did with apples. So what you do is you take up, in this case, what you do is you take up rice that's been made, you know what I'm saying? So it's already is ready to be eaten rice, if you know what I'm saying. And you put, so what I did is I took the two exact same spaghetti sauce cans, jars, you know what I'm saying? Glass jars, the exact same. So I took these two spaghetti sauce cans, jars, and I put a cup of rice that's already been cooked rice into each. Put some duct tape on it. On the outside, I said, "This is my hate rice. This is my love rice." And every day you go back, you go by the hate rice, and I've only been doing it for like 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. Yell at it, tell it how much you hate it. It's evil, it's ugly, it stinks. You're never going to eat it. It's never going to have any friends. Just be mean to it. Then you take the love rice and you say how much you love it. And I'm just telling you, man. So I did this with apples, about 8 months or so ago, and the difference between the two apples was phenomenal. Now they weren't the identical cups, not cups, cartons, whatever. They weren't the identical. So that might have something to do with it. I don't know. But it was pretty significant difference. They were pretty close to the same size. The container thing, whatever it is. Anyway, they weren't identical, but they were close, but not identical enough. So now I'm literally the same identical container, literally the exact same one, the same brand container. Everything is the exact same thing. A cup of each homemade rice, not homemade rice, but cooked rice. And I'm telling you right now, after a week's time, the hate rice is way more moldy and disgusting than the love rice. It's freaking nuts, dude. And the premise of that is the water, is there's something in the water that feeds us emotionally, mentally, and whatnot. And I find it fascinating. Anyway, all right, let's see what else we got here. All right, my man here says, I have some Class A shares of Growth Fund America that I pay. Oh yeah, dude, love Growth Fund of America. Yeah, 100%, man. So you're down. The problem with Growth Fund of America is it's all growth stocks. Zaro, and growth stocks got plummeted during the growth stock decline. That's just a fact. But dude, how old are you? 20, 22? Just keep plugging. Damn. This is from a lady who Denise. Sorry to hear that. Was that sudden, Denise? You said a very short illness. This is from a lady who died. Denise literally died. She flatlined. Denise. I'm not putting that. She did. She told us, all of us here, she flatlined not that long ago. And she's only, 57 years old. Fit as a fiddle. She flatlined. She died, literally. And yet here she is. Ain't no time to waste it. Ain't no time to waste on stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just Lazarus laughed. Let me find that PDF on that. Lazarus laughed. You got to read this. It's a short story, but man, it is so freaking fantastic. Denise died. Her girlfriend just lost her daughter, 39 years old. Lazarus Laughed is a play by Eugene O'Neill, written in 1925. It is a long theophilosophical meditation with more than 100 actors make up a mass chorus. The story features the events following the raising of Lazarus of Bethany from the dead by Jesus. As Lazarus is the first man to return from the realm of the dead, the crowd reacts intently to his words. Over and over, he declares them that there is no. It's gonna make me start crying right now. Over and over again, he declares to them that there is no death, only God's eternal laughter. The more Lazarus laughs, the younger and stronger he becomes. The more he laughs, the older and weaker his wife, who trusts him but does not understand his laughter, becomes. The subsequent scenes portray a series of tests perhaps similar to those of Job, by the Jews, Romans, and Greeks to try the face of Lazarus. Consequently, members of his family are taken from him, but he continues to laugh, even as Miriam is poisoned by the Roman Emperor Tiberius, and continuing to the very end when Tiberius burns him at the stake. Since the play was first published, it has hardly ever been produced in major theaters. I wonder why that is. The Pasadena Playhouse staged the only major production of it as the world premiere in 1928. Wonder why that would be. Why would the people not produce this in major theaters? Anyone want to take a guess why that is? Because the entertainment industry is run by Satanists, 100%. Tragic is the plight of the tragedian whose only audience is himself. Life is for each man a solitary cell whose walls are mirrors. Terrified is Caligula by the faces he makes. But I tell you to laugh in the mirror, that seeing your life gay, happy, YouTube, happy, you may begin to live as a guest and not as a condemned one. Oh, dude, freaking love. Then that reminds me of C.S. Lewis. Man, you got to read this book by C.S. Lewis. What is it? C.S. Lewis. I got to see his writings because there's one bibliographer. Was it bibliography? Would that be it? No. That's a bibliography. Non-fiction. Fiction. His strength. Is it the hideous strength? No, that's not it. I'm drawing a blank what it was. The Great Divorce. Is that it? Yes, I think this is it. Great Divorce. Based on theory, the working title, Who Goes Home, but his final is changed at the publisher's insistence. It refers to William Blake's poem, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. Plot summary, the narrator inexplicably finds himself in a grim and joyless city, the Gray Town, where it rains continuously, even indoors. Yeah, right here. Which is either hell or purgatory, depending on whether or not one stays there. He eventually finds a bus stop for those who desire an excursion to some other place. The destination turns out to be the foothills of heaven. He waits in line for the bus and listens to the arguments between his fellow passengers. As they await the bus's arrival, many of them quit the line in disgust before the bus pulls up. When it arrives, the driver is an angel who shields his face from the passengers. Once the few remaining passengers have boarded, the bus flies upward, off the pavement of the gray, rainy sky. But it's right here. I want to see if they show his wife. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's interesting as could be because there's let's see, his wife. Yeah, right here. Let me actually type in monkey here. Monkey. Chimp, maybe. Let's see. Almost all the ghosts choose to return to Greytown instead, giving various reasons and excuses. Much of the interest in the book lies in the recognition awakens the plausibility and familiarity of the excuses that ghosts refuse to abandon, even though that to do so would bring them joy evermore. A former bishop refuses, having grown so used to framing his faith in abstract, pseudo-intellectual terms that he can no longer definitively say whether he believes in God. An artist refused, arguing that he must preserve the reputation of his school of painting. A bitter cynic predicts that heaven is a trick. A bully is offended that people he believes beneath him are there. A nagging wife is angry that she'll be not allowed to dominate her husband in heaven. However, one man is corrupted on earth by lust, which rides on his ghost in the form of an ugly lizard. Anyways, I'm not gonna. There's something in there. It's very interesting too, because as a guy is considering going to heaven, there's literally a ball and chain. Actually, let's say ball and chain. Ball. Anyway, and the ball gets bigger the more he's considering. The ball gets smaller, essentially, the more he considers getting on the bus and going to heaven. And there's an angel that says, just come on. I think it's his wife, actually. She's like, come on. He's like, man, all right, honey. And he goes, but you were mean to me. And then the ball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's such a fine story. Oh, so good. All right. We're going to get out of here in a second. Hey, the rice experiment you talked about is powerful visual. I showed it to my kid after they were calling each other names. Yeah, doctor, 100%, man. 100%. Imagine the witness for Jesus that Lazarus has. 100%. Josh, I think you don't know the difference between a cane and a monocle. Okay. So you're saying the Monopoly man did not have a monocle? You know he did, man. You know he did. Come on. I tell you, everyone says this. Everyone says Mr. Peanut had the monocle, the top hat, so we think it's Monopoly man. Nope. Yeah, well, common sense. Yes, the Monopoly man had a monocle. I'm telling you, he did. He did. I love how these people say they didn't. They look it up now and they say, look, he never had a monocle. Yes, he did. It's like saying Mr. Rogers never said, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Or it's like saying Forrest Gump never said, life is like a box of chocolates. All these things happen. It's been changed. Just look at Forrest Gump and see what he says. I'm telling you, watch it. He'll say life was like a box of chocolates. Mr. Rogers, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. I'm just, it's the same thing. All right. You're missing what the Mandela effect is. I have the game from 1965. It's been changed. That's the point. You can't go back and say, my Bible says a man had milk in his breast, thus he always said that. No, that's not how it works. You can't go back and say, see, the man always had breasts. See, milk in it. See, they always use matrix instead of the womb. They can't do that because it has been changed. There's enough what's called residual evidence of the Lion and the Lamb. Perfect example of that. It's not the wolf and the lamb. Everybody knows that. It's the Lion and the Lamb. We got so much evidence of old preachers, pastors, freaking religious people, apologists saying the Lion and the Lamb from like G.K. Chesterton, everything. And that, it doesn't say that anymore. It says the wolf and the lamb. Look at your Bibles. It says the wolf. And you're going to see it. So I guess I'm misremembering. That's the Mandela effect. You know it was the Lion and the Lamb. It was alliteration. The lion lay down with the lamb. No, that is what it was. And we can't say it's because a song says it. We all heard a song, and we can't say it's because a comedian. We know this. You're not misremembering. You're not. It's okay to say, I could have sworn it was a Monopoly had a monocle. The Monopoly man had a monocle. The majority, if not the vast majority of people think the same thing. That would not make any sense. Oh, because Mr. Peanut. No. Nothing to do with Mr. Peanut. Jeez. And that's the biggest one right here is two or more. Two or more in the Bible. Now it says two or three. We all know it said two or more. Everybody says two or more. No longer that. That got changed, 2019 or something like that. Right before the COVID. Well, you could be wrong, certainly. But the issue is when you see the evidence stacked on top of evidence on top of evidence on top of evidence, you say, yeah, I could be wrong on that, but not on these things, not on all of them. And as you such, you're sitting there and say, okay, so Brian says Monopoly man had no monocle. Okay, that's fine. I say he did. That's just a fact. I say Mr. Rogers said it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I just said at the end that we just did 400 surveys. 92% said the same thing, but he never did. Yet we know for a fact he did because there's tons of residual. We know that the lion will lay with the lamb. We know two or more is in the Bible. It's not two or three. These are all things. And then people want to use, oh, you're wrong. Monopoly man never had a monocle. I just looked at my 1965 thing. That's not how it works. How it works is it gets changed. as the Bible gets changed. It's okay. See, Brian wants evidence of the Monopoly man with a monocle. The evidence, Angie can't show it to you because she doesn't have access to show it to you. Just look up Monopoly Man residue, and you'll find tons of people who have evidence of the Monopoly Man with a monocle. Tons of people. Now, you could say they're all wrong. That's fine. I get it. People get like literally viscerally mad at this. I think it's funny. I'm like literally angry. They say you're misremembering. That's okay. Let's say I'm misremembering the Monopoly Man with a monocle. Why would we all be misremembering that? Because Mr. Peanut? Okay. Let's just say it's okay. All these other things are not misremembering. It's just not. Come on. Silly. Just because you say it didn't happen doesn't mean it happened or not. Hey, we got Bo from Texas. Pablo got his delivery. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, 100%, man. That emotive water experiment, trust me, it's fantastic. And if you're into that, read my man Dr. Thomas Cowan. I'm telling you right now, he talks about the beauty of water. Right here. I haven't read. So he's got 3 books, Dr. Thomas Cowan. And this is the one I read, which literally was incredibly informative. Human Heart, Cosmic Heart. But this right here, Cancer and the New Biology of Water. Why the war on cancer has failed and what that means for a more effective treatment and prevention. And then he has this one, which I probably should not say out loud. How dare I talk about that right there? But you could be doing the same thing. It gets boring to argue this stuff. You could be doing the exact same thing. But if we look at how many people believe the Monopoly Man had a monocle, how many people believe Mr. Rogers, how many, it's silly to argue this stuff. Especially when there's so much residual. Yeah, right on, man. The residual is just the evidence that says Lion in the Lamb from all kinds of people. It goes on and on. Just look up Monopoly Man residual or residue, Monopoly Man residue. And you'll see, yeah, okay. All these people are wrong. All right, maybe. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine to be wrong. I'm not. Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. I remember that like it was yesterday. There's no more Stouffer's stovetop stuffing except some residual, which I have. So I used to watch. Actually, I have it over here someplace. There is one residue on Stouffer's stovetop stuffing instead of potatoes. I remember that like it was yesterday. Everyone remembers Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. Stouffer's never had in today's reality. Stouffer's never had stovetop stuffing. Yet everyone remembers it. I remember it's like it's yesterday. There's actually I got a piece of residue right here, where it's an ad from a paper in New Mexico which offers Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. There's an ad in here. Why did that not get changed? I have no clue. No idea. We have quotes of people saying, this lady in Florida, it's like Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. I would have eaten that. I was so hungry. You don't just make that up, man. You don't just say, oh, yeah, we're all misremembering it. No. It's changed. Why? I don't know. The reason I say it is because if they can change that kind of stupid stuff, they certainly can change the Bible. And they can make the Bible indicative of the direction Satan wants to take us. Which, as I said in my video yesterday, men having breasts with milk. You see, people don't see this. You see how? So what is it today? Didn't know it changed. What? For Stouffer's? Is that what you're saying, Angie? Right on, Bo. Bo Diddley just bought 2 of my books. How dare you not buy all 4 or 5? How many ever I did? How dare you? It's interesting too, because if you look at the German version, Angie, of because Angie's German, so we won't hold that against her. It's just stovetop stuffing now. It's no longer Stouffer's. It's just stovetop stuffing. Crazy. Anyway, but Germany. All right. So if you look at the residue of the Forrest Gump in German, it still says life is like a box of chocolates. At least if you speak German, Angie, if you watch that for German, it still says life is like a box of chocolates. At least in terms of the closed, whatever it is, the subtitles. Isn't that interesting? So the German version of Forrest Gump still says life is like a box of chocolates, yet this version says life was like a box of chocolates. Very, very odd. Very odd. It's sinister. It's happening more and more. That's the interesting thing, and you can see it, man. The humanity is off on a tangent. I don't know. I mean, I'm optimistic as all can be. I love it because there are a certain group of people who see and a certain group of people don't. I'm not saying Brian doesn't see, just remembers it different than me. That's fine. I don't care. It's okay. So maybe he remembers Monopoly Man not having a monocle. That's okay. And his way of doing that is to look and say, look, I see my Monopoly game from 1965. It did not have a monocle. That's okay. Angie says differently. We're never going to prove each other right. The point being is when you factor in the Monopoly Man, all the other stuff, and you start saying it's all misremembering, why would everyone misremember? Yeah. Mandela effect, 100%, brother. 100%. It's a Mandela effect. It's funny because my daughter oldest daughter, Maddie, she gets pissed when we talk about Mandela effect. But slowly but surely, I mean, pissed more so. And I'm not saying Brian's pissed. I'm not saying that. Look, I like Brian. He's a good guy. If I drank beers, I'd drink a beer with him. It's Stofers, not Stovers, but Stofers. But still, Angie understood. Stovers, stovetop stuffing, Stofers, stovetop stuffing. Still, we all know it's Stofers, stovetop stuffing. She just typed it wrong. It's no longer Stovers or Stofers. It's stovetop stuffing. That's it. And I used to say this all. In fact, I remember too, like when my kids were young, and Charlotte would go and like lay down with them to read our books and stuff. So basically, Liam was a kid would be in bed, and he would Charlotte say, "Move over, Bacon. Now there's something meteor coming in." Would read stories for him for 9 nights, and I say, "Yeah," and what did I say? Stovetop stuffing, better than potatoes, whatever the thing was. I forgot. I remember she would say that, "Move over, Bacon. Now there's something meteor coming in," because that's what they used to say in the 80s with some stupid commercial. I'd say, "Yeah, stovetop stuffing, better than potatoes." I remember it's like, there's no way I would have put those two. There's no way I would have put that together. It is Mandela effect, dude. It's fun, man. People get like really upset. I'm not saying Brian's upset, but Maddie was. Anyway, long story short, slowly but surely she's starting to get it. I find it funny because she said something to me the other day. I was like, interesting. Anyway, be of good cheer. Good cheer is how you win people over, man. So look at Ray is jumping in the fray. He's saying Kraft took the name off when they bought the brand in 1990. Did they? So you're saying it was Stouffer stovetop stuffing. All right. So Ray is now on the side of the Mandela effect. He's saying it was Stouffer stovetop stuffing, but they took the name off in 1990. Okay. So if we look back pre-1990, it should be Stouffer stovetop stuffing, right? Yes. And you're going to look back and say, people are going to say it never was. They're going to say it never was Stouffer stovetop stuffing. They're going to say you're wrong, Ray. It never was Stouffer stovetop stuffing. Kind of like how Brian is saying the case with Monopoly and with the monocle. Is it fun? It's awesome. I love this stuff. Dude. I could do this all day long. There's a guy, Moneybag73. If you really want to get in this guy, you should watch this guy's channel. It is fun, man. I love this stuff. It's crazy. It's I guess you have to be a contrarian in some regard. I don't know if that's God makes us contrarian. I don't know how that works. But if you really want to get into this guy used to have a channel that focused mostly on wealth and silver and gold and stuff. And very not right. Oh my god! Holy crap! Here it comes right here. I just typed in, and this is not anything. I mean, this might be coincidence. I don't know, but I just typed in money bags, and it came up Stouffer's. Oh, here, Fruit of the Loom. Do the Fruit of the Loom have whatever that thing is called, that horn thing, whatever it's called? Do the Fruit of the Loom have that horn? It was a cornucopia. We know we did. We know it did. We know it did. And this chick is saying, no, it didn't. Right here, Stouffer's stovetop stuffing instead of potatoes. Never mind freaking Ed McMahon. Right here, 1980s commercial, stovetop stuffing. There you go, Ray. It did not say Stouffer's. It says now 1980 commercial, stovetop stuffing. No, we remember 1989 stovetop stuffing. We know it's Stouffer's. So it wasn't 1990 that Kraft said we're going to use no longer use the name Stofers. It was stovetop stuffing, stovetop stuffing. Never mind, Ed McMahon. We all know Ed McMahon worked for the Publishers Clearinghouse. No, he didn't. No, he did not. He did not work for Publishers Clearinghouse. Now he worked for American Family Publishing. Is that crazy? You know he did. There's all these songs in here. And none of this, I didn't really care that much about the songs. The Roadrunner never said beep beep. The Roadrunner never said beep beep. Yeah, he did. Looney Tunes was Toons, not Tunes. Isn't that crazy? Oh my goodness, it's fun. Yeah, I don't even think that. I just think actually it's the there's the humanity. I do actually believe in the Great Reset. I don't think I'm absolutely convinced that humanity has had great resets probably every 150 to 200 years or so. And as such, we're coming on another great reset. I don't know when we're out of, no idea what it means, none whatsoever. But there's if you do just a little bit of research, like with my man Howdy Mikulski, John Levi channel here on YouTube, and others. There's a chick who in England, I forgot her name, who did the Egyptian stuff. It's there's no way that there wasn't some vast technology, be it Tesla, free electric. I don't know what it is, man. But there's no way there wasn't something before us, and I don't know what that means, but things change, and I don't think it's a crashing of universes. I actually think it's just humanity. It's almost like Noah's flood, you know what I'm saying? Where humanity just it goes nuts and it has to be kind of replenished in some regard. I don't know how that fits with God's. I don't know. And I'm okay with that, but I find it interesting. And it's fun to research because, like, I never knew that. You know what I'm saying? I never. That doesn't make any sense. And if you read the book "Exposing the Expositions" by Howdy Mikulski, you'll see none of it. You know, the Chicago Exposition in 1893. Nope. That did not happen by happenstance. In terms of, he just woke up one day and 2 years later that thing is there. Nope. It's so massive. All right. And then not just with Roadrunner, there's another one too. There's one beep beep. There's so much on this. You're like, no. That Ed McMahon one is really the one that set me off, because I remember Ed McMahon with Publishers Clearinghouse like it was yesterday, and you do too. Now, like, no, it's just Dick Clark. Nope, it's Ed McMahon. It wasn't just Dick Clark. It was Ed McMahon. But apparently Ed McMahon never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. And the irony of it is all, this guy named Brian Stavely, who I follow, he's from the town of Ed McMahon. I think he said Lowell, Massachusetts. He's like, we all knew that. Anyways, it's interesting. All right, I'll get ready to get out of here. Yeah, look, man, it's all good. It's beep beep. Well, apparently didn't anymore. Isn't that crazy? It's all good. At the end of the day, God's going to be in charge of what God's going to do. Oh, that's what my man was saying. Johnny Cash. He's saying he thinks Johnny Cash in his later years was trying to acknowledge that he was involved in some deep bad stuff, if that makes sense, in terms of whatever kind of agreement he made with a bad guy, if that makes sense. He was trying to. Oh boy! All right, come here. Delivery time. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. God bless. We'll see you on Thursday at noon, and I'll get more graphs for my new work I'm doing on my new book. It'll be fun. All right, God bless. See you guys. It's all good. All good in the hood.